Yo, what's good, man? It's your boy Royalty Trades. Hey, look, I'm just coming through with a little late night charting session. Um, I wanted to point out a few things because I know we all had a good weekend. We watched some college football on Saturday. We played some parlays and watched some NFL games today. And I was just trying. It's kind of time to settle down and start getting our minds ready for the market. So. Um, let's put together a little watch list, go over some of the things that we normally look at, SPY, Qs, NVIDIA, Apple, some of these tickers that's hot and has some nice volatility to it, and see where we could be headed this week. So, um, first thing I have pulled up right now is the SPY. And last week it traded fairly well. Um, this Thursday going into Friday, it had a major gap down and it traded back up into supplier around 570 and it rejected and consolidated for a couple of days this previous week until we had Jerome Powell come through with some information, some data, and then we had the rate cuts that dropped, and it kind of pushed out, and now it's trying to make that 570 into support when it previously was resistance. So, what does that mean going into this week? So, here on Wednesday, we've seen a massive gap up. It attempted to run. It got up around 574, and then we've seen it come back down and trade into this bullish demand zone here, all the way down to about 570. So, just looking at this, we see this consolidation here between 570 and 572. You want to keep an eye on that because, like I said, you want to flip the supply and demand zones here. So, all of this is no man's land. From 572 down to 568, that's kind of like no man's land. If you go below here, then you go back into the green territory here where you'll definitely want to buy the dip down to 565. But as of right now, we could still have some sideways movement in between these zones. Now, what do I think is going to happen? As long as this area right here keeps getting bought up, I think we're going to push higher. Be honest with you. Unless we gap down and do something different, I think we're going to push higher. So, the yellow lines over here are my resistance zones, and then my white are all support. So you can see right now, my support zones are very heavily outweighing the resistance areas at 570 and 568. So as long as we don't gap down going into this next week, I think spot will be fine. I think if we retest any of these levels around this 570 zone, 570, 50, 570, 33, 569 maybe, I think those should be bought up. Unless some type of news come out, something dramatic happens and it wants to flush it even harder than that. But as of right now, I think going into next week, I think we buy the dip. I think we buy You buy the dip down here, 570, 569. You can ride it back up towards about 574, maybe 575. We want to see that dip bottom. We want to see it push back up and retest these highs. So just watch for the consolidation here. But definitely, I expect us to make more moves higher up towards 575 before we finally start to cool down or face exhaustion. Because keep in mind, we've been exhausted. SPY's been exhausted for a while. It's been trying to push and go above all-time highs. And for the most part, it's just been sideways movement until this recent gap up. They gave The Bulls, a little extra push with what they needed to have. So I think we can do it. I think that we can. Next thing I want to look at is the Qs. Now, if you've been following me, I've been saying, Scott, the Qs have room above 48, but it is supply, and they can run as high as 493. So what's going on with it now? 495. So what's going on with it now? So we had this gap up here, and we still have a unfilled level of demand down here, down to 476. So yeah, we can roll over a little bit, but as you can see, this trend right here has been holding it very steadily. You had a bounce right here, and then you had another one here. It's possible that we get a move down and a bounce back at 482, but as long as it doesn't gap down just like SPY, buyers are going to buy it up. Buyers are going to step in, or should step in, because if it doesn't hold at this level where buyers gapped up and it's testing, you will see it come down here and fill this one where there's even more support and buyers waiting to buy the dip to maybe 474, 475 before the move comes back up. It's going to hug this 42, 43 zone, I think, pretty heavily until it's able to push through this supply zone. And then kind of what we seen on SPY on the last ticker, where we seen the resistance flip, and then you had support where the old supply zone was. We'll see that sideways movement up here between 493 and probably 495. You'll see it flip to make a higher move up. And let's see. It has room up to about 513, 512, 513 right now. So Qs definitely have room up. I think it just all depends on how the week flows out. This move is probably like a 2-3 week move, because I think if we gap up, or if we're trying to flip the supply and demand here between 488 and 495, you're going to need about a week to see if it really holds, or if it's just going to trade up into these levels and then it's going to start coming back down, or eventually roll over to the downside. But like I said, if you look at it, it has been making higher levels of support. We zoom out a little bit and we see where we traded down here around the 450, 448 range, and eventually consolidated and pushed back up. Here we made a high level of support here, and now right here we're taking this old level of support here, and now here it is making new support. So it definitely has the opportunity to make another leg up. We had one down here. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. If we zoom out to see what's going on, you kind of see how on the Qs, this range right here, it's always a consolidated zone. You got it right here. You have the short consolidated area here, where it eventually turned into resistance and decided to push it even lower. It was a retest, and it didn't hold very well. And so after it dipped and found enough buyers to step back in and retest it again, it tried it one more time, thinking that maybe third time's a charm. Nope, wasn't enough. Dropped back down to find more buyers. Here's a short move back into that area that it loves to consolidate in. It's pushing up again. It's still within it. Here's that, there, and now here. We could see it come down here, or we could see it hold and eventually make a move like this over here, push up, break to the upside, this will probably be the zone that you'll want to watch for up here, and see if it can transform this into new support levels. So we'll definitely want to watch this once it starts trading up into supply and see how high it wants to run and see how long it holds before it decides which way it wants to go. It could trade up and roll back over and come down and find more buyers, since it does like to be around this zone between 475 and 486. Or we could make moves up. It just depends on how the week plays out. I mean, I can't call it right now. I have to see how we open pre-market. Right now, I'm gonna say we're going to the upside unless we gap down. If we don't gap down though, we're strong. We just have to see if retest and continue to grab liquidity for this push up, because this is a nice size gap. This gap was opened up on July and it hasn't been able to break it since then. Now, I mean, we've had a lot of buyers step in and now we're creating new levels of support again. So that's what makes me think that we're setting up to make a move back to the upside. So that's my thesis on Qs. I know a lot of people are, they are on NVIDIA heavy. So let's look at NVIDIA. And I'm gonna zoom in because yes, my charts can look a little confusing when it's all zoomed out. You got all of these price targets and stuff, but this is what I'm saying. NVIDIA has been making a solid uptrend. It came down around here early September, and since we've pushed up, it traded into supply here and it went sideways, and here we are here. So I got a lot of levels and it's making my chart look a little cluttered when I'm trying to explain it. So what I'm gonna do real quick, I need to clear out some of these so we can get a better read on NVIDIA, and I can kind of explain the levels a lot clearer. So let's do it like this. I cleared out some of the levels. Let's go back to it. And it's just a little bit better. So let's zoom in a little bit. NVIDIA. Now, we all love NVIDIA. We know how it's priced. We know how the market loves it. We know it shoots up when it has productive news and when somebody wanting to partner with NVIDIA, this, that, and the third. I think we got a lot of strength on NVIDIA. It's fighting this one little supply zone here between 125 and 124. I think it can take it out. Here's a gap up here. There's a gap here, gap here. It didn't hold. It filled this 121 level that we've been watching it to fill. Now we're trying to trade back up. I have support here at 119, 120. So what we're going to watch for this week, we're going to look for this trend right here to be hugged on the way back up. Because if we're gapping up here, gapping up here, gapping up here just to break above the supply zone, it can go. And the reason why it's going to consolidate pretty hard is because when NVIDIA runs, it runs. If it does run, then we're looking at price action here above like 134, 133 now. Every day that it goes, that it hasn't ran, it gets an opportunity to increase the ceiling that it can go. So it looks solid. It looks solid going into this upcoming week. If we start rolling over though, we could see 112, 113 as the next level of support. If we go to the 4-hour, try to find some consolidation levels. You can see it right here. So what's happening? It traded here and consolidated, kind of made like a little flag here. And then it broke out and traded higher to the upside. And what we could be looking at is this is going to be our new support level. The same way this was resistance at first. It was rejecting. And then it finally broke out of that little flag to the upside and retested 128. So this is our next area of consolidation right here. And this is what I'm telling you. We can see if it does decide to make more moves up. Like I said, I think 119, 120 would be the sweet spot for getting in to go to the upside. And then we'll see some drastic price movements to the upside up to 130. Watch for the build above 124. Look for the selling of 130, and we'll see how it moves from there. NVIDIA it's always strong. It's always moving in an upward motion. Yeah, it gets to sell off, but as you can see, the dips about drastically. We did have a week-long consolidation here before the move up, but this is kind of similar to what the Qs are heading into right now. You see how it trades up into supply. It trades sideways until it has enough liquidity to push to the upside, and it squeezes out. And now it's making new support levels. This is what I'm showing you on SPY, what I showed you on SPY. This is what we talked about on Qs. I'm showing you an example on NVIDIA, and this is just what we watch for going into the following week, the same patterns. Now, like I said, it's always the possibility that we roll over and it has to find more liquidity. If it does, just be on the lookout for prices to touch around 114, 115, and we'll just make this long consolidated zone here sideways and go from there. Like I said, here is just to be a spot to build your position at for another upside to retest the 122, 123 levels. Once you have a detailed game plan or you understand how to read these charts, read the moves, you always look for both scenarios. So it sets you up and you just see which one gives you the most validation, which one has the most confluences, what looks right. Right now you're seeing a move and a push out of supply. And now it's using these old resistance levels to bounce back up. What that means, all right, I need to watch to see if this trend right here is going to hold. And if it's going to make a race to push me back up to the upside up to 130. So just for right now, things could change in the morning. Like I said, if we don't gap down in the market and we continue to open flat or make more continuations, you will see a consolidation here. Hugging this 120, 121 area before it decides to push up and make a move towards 130. So that's what we're going to watch on NVIDIA. If you're tuning in, pre-market analysis, I'll be giving confirmation moves once I see how everything looks. As of right now, this is just what we watching. Friday, I talked about Apple. Heavy on my watch list. Super heavy. As far as Apple's been one of them stocks that's been holding up the market when everything else decides that it wants to tank. So it's definitely been a powerhouse, and we could see it decide that it wants to move up. It broke out of supply here and gapped up and decided that it wanted to test out these levels on 920. And all last week it traded below that. So it respected the resistance up here around 230 to 234. It respected it, and it came back and retested demand zones, which were about up. So going into this following week, level of demand here, level of demand here, and then we have some bears down here and up there. So what this tells you is you watch for these big consolidated movements. The same way you see this consolidated movement, but it holds and goes to the upside and hugs the uptrend. You can see these movements come down, and then you can see Apple hug and consolidate zones here. So all of this will become a consolidated sideways movement where it's just accumulating and accumulating until it decides it wants to just squeeze to the upside and push to the 231, 234 range. Other than that, we do have this level down here that has not been filled down to 217. What you'll see is probably a drastic drop here to where it fills. And then once it fills, either it can retest or it can just squeeze out the rest of the bulls and squeeze all the way to the downside here before it decides to make the move back up. So just play to whatever it is that the chart showing you. I'm always a play the chart type person. I don't really trade news because it's too persuasive. If you pay attention to the charts and buy and you let it show you what it wants, what it wants you to do, it's hard to not be on the wrong side. I mean, majority of the time it's going to play out exactly the way that you see it, as long as you understand what the chart's trying to tell you. So when you see these supply and these demand zones close together, then you can see some confusion once it gets in here. You'll see premiums go crazy. You'll see the theta increase. All type of things happen because now it's at a moment. It's at it's in a spot where anything can happen, kind of like no man's land. What the market wants it to do, does it want it to go up? Does it want it to go down? You just have to. I stay out of zones here. I stay out of it because it can squeeze prices and the price action be real tight. And if you don't have a good entry, you will swing a couple of days and you'll wonder why you're not going anywhere. It's because the theta is holding it in a small consolidated area, and your delta may be $10, $15 that you get on a dollar move, but your theta might be a negative 20 or 25. So every day you swing and it's not moving, you're getting deeper and deeper in the hole until you hopefully get the squeeze to the upside or the downside, whichever way the market decides that it's want to go. So as of right now, looking at Apple, I'm going to say calls. We're going to look for support here around 224 and 225 for the move back up towards 231 and see these supply levels get tested and see if it's going to act as resistance. Could be a triple top. Just depends on how the market wants to play it. So Apple right now, we're just gonna watch it, see if this 224, 225 level holds up. And like I said, the price target for right now be 231. If it does flip supply and demand here between 231 and 234, we'll see this area hold here and further move up, possibly towards 242, 243. It's possible, but we'll want to see this level right here, this uptrend just hold, and we'll want to see 230, 228. You'll want to see that become a more of a solid level of support before it continues to push up even more. If not, then it'll drag us back down because it'll be exhausted, and we'll see 217, 218, possibly 216. We'll see those levels get retested, and just wait on those moves to attempt to try again. So let's keep in mind Apple. I do want to see it hold, and I do think that it wants to attempt the 231 range. just to see if it's strong enough to break through it yet. And watched Google for a little bit. I was telling myself, man, Google can be a banger. It can be a banger. The only thing that scares me right now is this gap up right here, and we can roll over and go back down and retest it. But if we don't, well, if we don't, Google has a massive upside if it holds this 165, 167 level. Look, here's the area that it wants to flip. It'll want to flip this zone right here into support and hold this 165, 166 level before it makes a crazy run up to 176. So if we did not have this gap below us right here, I probably would be all in calls. 100%. If this wasn't right there, which could possibly serve as this right here was resistance, well, it went up and formed resistance. So this is the first time since August that it's retesting these levels, which could form resistance here. And what happens is the trade above here, and it'll possibly get exhausted around here trying to trade and hold these levels up, and then it'll start to roll back down and eventually come back down and retest these around 152 and possibly down here about 149. But if we don't, if we hold, if this becomes a new support level, then I do like the upside here for Google. And why do I like it? Because the contracts normally they're cheap. Google normally moves about $2.5, $3.5 price action range a day. So if we get a solid price action to the upside, we'll want to see it hold above 165, 166. And you probably want to go about a month or so out just to see what it's going to do as it heads into earnings. And you will get their earnings, their pre-earnings run up to where it'll push up here. Now, I mean, if they're expecting a push up, then you probably can see the sideways movement as it heads to earnings. And that's when I was talking about you get the rollover back down to here. And this will act as resistance. So that's what we have to keep in mind. But I do want to see if we can hold the 165 level and potentially make moves up to this 160, 176, 181 levels. And we can work it like that. So I think one more that I'm going to look at. I did AMD. We played puts on AMD because it was running too hot. It was running too hot, too fast, and I didn't like it. So Thursday, I swung some puts overnight. It opened up Friday and it pushed up, and it didn't quite break the highs. I thought it probably would go into 169 and retest supply, but it didn't. And so right now, I could make a move around here before it goes and retests this again. It can retest it later. If the market pushes up, it can go and trade up into supply on this side of the trend, which is still bearish, rather holding here in these areas to push up, which would turn this into supply later on, well, support later on. But if it trades sideways and up, then you can see it push up here and it's going to come back down. It looks good around 155, 166 though for longs. Because I think what it's attempting to do is I think it wants to turn these levels right here into some solid support. You see it roll over here, V-shaped recovery, back, it held here and then it pushed up and decided to retest these higher levels, attempting to fill that gap up here above 169. So I would watch it. I wouldn't buy here just because I don't know how strong the support is. You can watch it off the 160 bounce to see if it'll make kind of like a U shape here or possibly a V shape, knowing AMD, but a V shape move and a push up here. But I would not add any new positions above 170, 169, 170. I think it can reject and it can roll back over unless something just pops off with semiconductors. But better risk reward would be around 155, 156 going into this upcoming week. And we can expect to see how this range between here and 151, 152 is going to hold up. So keep that in mind. If you're watching, write some of these levels down, put your alerts there, ask questions. You know, I got Patreon, I got Discord. I'm in a group called After Hours. Like, I'm in so many different trading groups and different ways that you can get access to me. I'm always open to help somebody learn how to read charts, how to grow, you know, how to look at the Greeks, how to pick their contract price targets or whatnot. Just get at me. I'm probably one of the most laid back traders that y'all mess with. So definitely tap in with your boy. Tesla, bro. Me personally, I love Tesla. I hate the contracts. They just don't. They don't look right. Like if you look at them, the Greeks are just wild. Like I want to trade Tesla and I want to give alerts so bad, but it just is way too risky. It trade worse than it did when it was at $2,000 and $4,000 a share. So, anyways, once I get these keys right, we can get into it. So, Tesla. I need to find my mouse because this mouse pad giving me hell, people. But I'm working with what we got. Tesla 1 hour. So here we are on Tesla's 1 hour, where it has been holding on to I say it's 260 range pretty heavy. It does have this gap down here around 241. That could be holding for something else. It could be for when it rolls over. But as you can see, it retested the top of the trend here at 261. I think that morning I called it and said, look for shorts above here, or it might have been here. But one of these, it tested the highs and it didn't hold. And we came back down to see what was going on and if the buyers loved to hear. It's been one of them times to where you just don't know which way it's going to go, whether it's going to squeeze crazy to the upside or whether it's going to reject and be up for an hour. And then you come back and look at it about 9:30 or 10 and it's like $10 down. So what I do want to watch, it looked like it's holding this little trend, uptrend here. It's going to trade, it's going to limbo between the bottom of it and the top of it, but it's holding this particular trend fairly tightly. So what do we do with it? You just want to kind of watch it. You could take the bottom buys here and see if this can act as some support here. So that's between 255 and 250, and see if it makes this bounce here, back up, bounce here, back up, until we get up here around 272, because it can keep retesting this uptrend right here. And it only gets higher as it goes sideways. And that's when you see those potential squeezes to the upside to where it just goes parabolic for the day, for 2 days, and it just holds and you never know when it's coming down. So right now, I currently have a ceiling for Tesla around 272, 273. That's what I'm gonna mark it as. As far as a bottom price, come on, cooperate. As far as for a bottom price, right now, Let's see what type of consolidated zones we got. Floor price, well, I ain't gonna say floor, but the place of interest to buy would be probably somewhere around here between 244 and 237.51. Why? Because you will see it fall into this demand zone, and we'll want to see if it does come down here, you will see a little overreaction, maybe a bounce and then a drop down here below it, and then a move back up to see if it wants to retest this probably this little area here between 250 and 247. You'll see if it wants to roll over here and retest, or it just could break through it and keep pushing up. But Tesla just kind of is very dramatic. It can burn contracts on either way. Best way to play it is either at the very top or the very bottom, and you don't want to hold contracts no longer than a day. Definitely, if you're not in the money, further out the money contracts on Tesla can suffer tremendously if you don't take profits. I think the theta sometimes on them things are like $100 just to swing overnight. So you definitely want to be in the money. Last stock I'm looking at is ExxonMobil. We've made some good money off of this. Very predictable, very easy to trade. Sometimes you get dramatic movements down, then you'll see a push back up. Contracts are cheap, volatility's low. It's always a good stock to trade if you can catch the movements down for the movements back to the upside, because it always happens. So right now, as of last week or 2 weeks ago, we did see it retest 118. And then it made a move down to about the 112 range where I have support here. And now it's on the way to attempt that 118 range again. Over the span of the next couple of months, I can see ExxonMobil moving up here toward this 122, 123 range. I think it'll see it eventually. It has these major dips, but for some reason, like I said, when tech decides that it wants to cool down, you're gonna see money flow into other stocks. And ExxonMobil is one of the ones that's not as heavily affected by tech volatility. It does fall, but when you got Nvidia and the AVGO and these other stocks falling, $5, $6, $7 at a time, you'll see ExxonMobil probably fall maybe 75 cents, 50, 75 cents. And then once the market cools off, this would be the first thing to start pushing up. So it's kind of spotty, but I think anytime it dips, this is okay to go long, probably a month out on contracts, back up to 117, especially if it goes on under 112. Under 112, down to 110, 19, which we did see there recently with the dramatic sell-off here and the push all the way down to about 108, maybe 107. But if you bought the dip along with me, you seen that it ran up, retested 111, 112, then it tested 116. We had a little pullback here, but like I said, it's just something about this 117 range for ExxonMobil. It just loves it. It doesn't stay away from it for long. So I wouldn't chase it. I definitely wouldn't chase it. I'll look for the build above 117 to get calls. Or if we do happen to come back down below 112, I would definitely look for calls there with an opportunity to average down here 110 and 109. The only reason why I'm saying that low is because you just never know. When oil sells, it sells. And then when it runs, it has like one of these little sneaky moves up to where it kind of snowbirds. While everything else is selling off, it kind of just sits here and does its own thing. The next thing you know, boom, big move up. Same thing here. Consolidates, consolidates, consolidates. Boom, big move up. It always has these nice moves to where it just sneaks out and it just runs like $3. So I always keep ExxonMobil on my watch list. You never know when tech decides it wants to cool down. So you got to have something else in your pocket to make you some money. In the meantime, while everything else is going red, we want to see oil and gas or Costco or Eli Lilly or something like that. We want to see it go green. So these are just some of the stocks that I'm going to be watching over this next upcoming week. I don't put anything in stone until I actually see what the market does the morning of the day, the actual pre-market, that's why I give my pre-market analysis so frequently, because you can definitely try to foretell what's coming up, but until you actually see the price action and what it's doing the next day, you're not gonna know. So I'm more of a day-to-day, let's see what's going on. Then I give my prediction once I see what we're working with. But going into this week, this is just kind of where my head is. I hope this gives some insights to y'all too. Um, I didn't have a lot of time to go over a lot of the stocks, especially some of the ones that I have been requested to look at, like RXRX. Starbucks is a good one. Coors. It's a couple more LPSN, some of these smaller price action stocks that has potential to run ASTS. I am going to look at a couple more of those. If anything looks just tremendously good, then I'll come on here. I'll make a few videos. I'll give a walkthrough just to see what we're looking at, what the Greeks look like, where the trends are, to give everybody a heads up just so they can see where to buy, where to sell. And, I'm all about education in the stock market and self-sufficiency. I think trading is more than just taking signals. It's about understanding the market. And the more that you understand the machine, the better that you can prepare to trade it and make money and be in great positions to buy and hold great stocks also outside of trading options. So that's what I got for y'all today. I know it's late. I just want to throw something together real quick, get myself back in the habit of putting out content, putting out videos and charts along with posting and letting you guys see intraday trading that I'm watching and that I'm doing. And like I said, this is my passion. It's my joy. So if you like the video, if it gives you kind of a clearer mindset about where we're heading going into this week, definitely hit the like button. I'm trying to run the channel and I need, you guys support in order to do that. So hit the like button for me. If you're new, if you want to keep up with the content, definitely subscribe. It lets me know that, all right, hey, you got people tuned in. You got people that you're able to help navigate this market. And I promise you, I will be more consistent and more detailed with these videos, helping the community, showing people how to trade and how to read these charts and how to be prepared day to day. So it's your boy Royalty Trades. I'll see you guys in the morning. It's always fun hanging out with you guys. And tap in, man. See y'all.